welcome back to another plant channel. So today I want to talk to you guys about 4 easy and stylish ways that you can increase the humidity in your home and around your plants. And I am going to start off right off the bat with something that could be controversial. I don't mist my plants unless it's a plant that gets nutrition or water through its leaves. So something like air plants, those can be misted. But other plants, I find that it's an easy way to kind of introduce fungus or bacteria into your collection. And it doesn't do a lot for increasing the relative humidity in a space. So I don't mist, I'm not a fan of it. But these ways that I tell you are things that I have done or that I'm using now that I think are easy ways to do it. And hopefully you find something that'll help you out. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is grouping your plants together. So I know when you have a larger collection, this kind of just happens anyways, but plants will release some water through transpiration. And by grouping them together, you can kind of increase the humidity in that small area where they're all grouped together slightly just by putting them closer together. Now you do have to be careful with things like pests because they will spread quicker if your plants are touching, but having them close together is a great way to increase humidity. So another easy way to increase humidity and something that you can have a lot of fun and play around with is putting things under glass. Now you can just do this with items you have around the house, and I'm going to show you a couple of those, and I'm going to show you a couple of options that I purchased to also kind of play around and have fun with. So the first one is actually going to be a little video I'm going to stick in here, and this is a lamp that I picked up at Walmart, and the bottom is an empty glass vase basically. The whole thing is sealed off, and all the wiring, you have to make sure with these types, all the wiring has to go through the top. It can't go anywhere in the inside where the humidity is going to build up. And I made sure of that first, and then I also used a little dab of silicone just to seal anything off. But it's a really great way to do a closed terrarium. Now this one that I'm showing you, I actually just leave that closed. I think I did it like a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and I haven't opened it since. And because it's a low light plant, it is a little leggy, admittedly, but the light from the lamp itself is basically the light that it gets. Now another option that I purchased is this open type terrarium. And this I got from Walmart. It's the Better Homes and Gardens line, and this is back in their garden center. Now this came with a cork lid, but I left it off because I wanted to have some air movement. But if you wanted to really amp up the humidity, you could leave the lid on. But basically, I just use this for some jewel orchids. But something like this is a good way to increase humidity slightly. Now, a couple of things that you can do with items you have around the house or even thrifting is just putting glass vases upside down over plants. So this was a decorative vase, and then I just put it on a terracotta saucer. And you can see here, it does actually have some humidity and condensation built up on the inside. And this is actually right now rehabbing an eyelash fern. But I mean, something like this cost me no money because I already had these sitting around the house. This next one I'm going to show you came from a thrift store. And this, I believe, was meant to hold like cheese or something. So just a little cloche over top of a tray. But something like this is great and it's cute. This one's actually plastic, so it won't even break. I'd prefer glass, but, and I'm just kind of propagating some Alsobia dianthiflora cuttings in here. Now, if you like little glass terrariums like that, I'm going to go ahead also and pop some pictures up on the screen of a couple that I found this week, and I did order them. So hopefully they'll get here in one piece and you'll be able to see them in my end of the month plant haul. And these are both from H&M. It's a small and a large size, but I like how these have the bottom where you could plant directly in it if you want to, but you can also just set a small pot in there. And I just think it's a really cute kind of stylish way to display your plants. Okay, so now that we've talked about grouping our plants together and putting them under glass, a third thing you can use is pebble trays. Now this admittedly will only increase humidity kind of around that small area, It won't do your whole house, but it's a good way to give it a little boost. So I've got some videos of my trays that I'm using, and I'm going to go ahead and pop them in here. Now the first one you're going to see is kind of more of a stylized version, and this is the one that I have in my bathroom. So what I used for the Pebble Tray in this case was a large plastic saucer, and I just picked it up at Home Depot. And then I went ahead and filled it with rocks. You could fill it with any type you like. I liked white because I felt like it was a little bit more visually neutral than going with anything like darker or brown or black or orangey. But literally you could put anything in there. You could even use those glass like aquarium baubles type things. So then I went ahead and I found a tray that fit in to kind of disguise it and make it look pretty. And then you just go ahead and fill it with water. The next one you're going to see is in my living room, and this is in what I call my Calathea Corner. And this is literally a baking tray from Walmart. I just picked up the largest one I could find. And then I went ahead and filled it with a layer of gravel and water. So now that you've seen kind of how I styled those trays, it's important to add that any pots that you put in them, you want to make sure they are either not sitting in the water. So you don't want to take like a terracotta pot and set it on that because it will suck up the water and you'll rot the roots. You want to make sure that either it's got some kind of plastic tray underneath of the pot itself so that it doesn't absorb the water. Or you want to make sure it's a glazed pot without a drainage hole, like a cache pot that you can just set in there. And I'll make little displays to kind of jazz that up as well. So I'll do little stacks of pretty plates, like white ironstone dishware, to just kind of raise things out of the water because you don't want them sitting in the water. You just want the evaporation factor. Okay, so now that we have talked about that, we are going to get into probably the most fun part and definitely the most effective way to increase your humidity, and that is obviously using a humidifier. And I'm going to show you a new one today. I'm going to unbox it actually. So the folks over at Levoit actually contacted me to see if I wanted to review a humidifier, and I love humidifiers, so of course I said yes, and I'm going to grab it right now. This is the one we are going to be looking at today, and this is the Levoit Smart Top Fill Humidifier. This is the model Dual 200S, and there will be a link in the description box where you can purchase this for yourself if you want it. Now, I did some research on it, so I know some of the features of it, but I want to do an unboxing with you guys here. So let me just scoot some of these glass things over. Okay. So right off the bat, we've got a manual and what looks like a cleaning brush. That's a really cool feature. Okay. So we'll set that aside. And then here we have a plug. Oh, I like this already. Okay, so the plug is able to come off of the machine, which may seem like a small feature, but when you're cleaning it, that is going to make a huge difference, because where I have mine plugged in now, it's kind of back behind stuff, and I don't unplug it. I clean it in place, the base of it, because it's so annoying. This is going to be a game changer. All right, so let's open this up and get the actual unit out of here. Okay. So it's a good size. This is something that I think would look cute also in a bedroom or something as well. We're just going to open it right up. Okay. So now something that I read about this that I think is probably the #1 selling point for me, aside from now that I've seen that I can unplug it completely and just leave the plug in place. But this is a top fill humidifier, which I have never had before. So what that means, if you're not familiar, is that you don't have to take the whole unit somewhere and flip it upside down and unscrew a cap and refill it and then flip it back over and spill water everywhere. This, you can literally just fill it in place by lifting top off. So how cool is that? All right, so the top just lifts off like that. You're gonna pour the water in the top. I did read some manuals and some instructions and things online. So you're always gonna put the water in the top of this unit, never in the base, and that's here. The base will fill with water to the amount that it needs on its own. So let's just see what we've got here. Okay, so we've got, this is the tank, and then you saw the removable top. Something else that I thought was really great is that this top, you can direct where the mist is gonna go, which you may be thinking, okay, so what does that matter? But the reason that that matters is because when this is plugged in, if this is stationary, you have to try and turn the entire unit, and you don't always have enough plug length to do that. So here, once this is plugged in, it can kind of just stay where it's at, and you can adjust where the mist goes without moving anything except this lid. I love this already. Okay, and then this is what the base looks like. And this looks like it's gonna be super simple to set up. So why don't we go ahead and do that? We'll go into my kitchen, we'll set it up, and then we'll watch it operate, and then we'll go through cleaning instructions because that is also super important. Okay, so I went ahead and filled it with water off camera so you wouldn't have to listen to that. But you can see there's a max fill line. When you're filling it, you just wanna make sure you don't pour water into the mist tube. But pretty much that's it. And normally you could just do this in place. You'll see there's a little line here, and that lines up with the arrow on the base to let you know where you can line it up. Now we're gonna put the top back on. All right, so the top went on really easy on and off. And then if you come down here, all the controls are gonna be done through these buttons. You've got a power, and then you've got this here. Now this is an adjustable mist, so you can do 2 different levels of mist or an auto setting. And what auto setting will do is it will keep the humidity between 40 and 50%. So if it gets over 50%, this will shut off, and if it drops below 40, it will kick back on. That way you don't go ahead and have extremely high humidity and have mold issues or anything. So that's a really nice function too. We're gonna go ahead and turn it on now. Okay, and instantly it starts coming out. All right, so it looks like right now it's on the high setting. I'm just gonna set, okay, now it's on auto. Okay, low and high. Now this also, I would like to add, is Wi-Fi compatible, and I did put the app on my phone. I film on my phone, so unfortunately I can't show you how that works. But what it does is it lets you turn it on and off or change settings and stuff, use it as a remote control basically. So I could sit on my couch and I could be like, oh, you know what, I want to turn the humidifier on, and I don't have to get up and walk over and do that. So you can do things like that. You can set up timers, have it come on at a certain time and off at a certain time. So I just think that anything you can automate is kind of fun too. So, and then you can see this will easily turn to redirect the mist. And it's a nice cold mist, so nobody's gonna get burned, nobody's gonna get hurt. You can also use it as a diffuser if you'd like. So what they said to do was you would put the drops of essential oil in the base. I don't personally use essential oil because I have pets, and I know that some of them can be harmful. So I'm just gonna use it straight up as a humidifier, but there is always that option. Now, this is good for plants, but I also wanna point out that this is really good for your health as well. It's good for your skin and your hair, and it's also good for like your lungs and breathing and stuff. I remember when we were kids, anytime we would get a cold, we would set up the humidifier, and they have come such a long way. This is not making anything wet either. Like I can put my hand here and it's not dripping or making anything wet, and I love that. So now that we've gone over the operation of it, I want to really quick go over the cleaning, because that's a really important part of keeping your humidifier good and keeping your health good. So the first thing you're going to do is unplug it. Now they recommend to always take the tank off. You never want to move the tank and the base together. So you're going to take the tank off and you're going to just empty anything that's in it in your sink if there's any water left. And then inside of this tank, there's a little filter. You are going to turn it counterclockwise and it just pops out. So that's the first step, that right there. Then when you turn this tank over, the bottom has kind of like a noise filter to make it a quiet operation. And there's just 2 tabs here. That pops right out. So now that you've got the filter out of the inside and then the sound dampening piece out of the bottom, you're going to go ahead and put it back on the base, lining up that little line with the arrow. So we're going to do that. Then you're going to put some white vinegar in it, and that's going to help to descale it. Do not use detergents with it, just stick with vinegar. You're going to put some in it and just let it sit for like 15 minutes. Some of it will naturally go into the bottom and work on that. So after that 15 minutes is up, you're going to go ahead, take the top off again, dump it into the sink. You're also going to empty out any of the vinegar that's in the base. And then what we're going to do next, there is a little float piece here. This easily comes out. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera. You can see it's got kind of like a hinged thing here, but one of the ends is open. So it kind of just lifts and slides. When you have this in person, you'll be able to see. It's hard to do it one-handed on the camera, but this part comes out. So then what you're going to do is you're going to get just some kind of a bowl or a container, and you're going to put these 3 pieces in there in vinegar and just let them soak as well. So you've got, this was the filter you removed, and this was the sound dampening part, and then now you've got the float, and then you're going to soak those separately. While you're doing that, you can start rinsing this out. You just want to rinse it out so that you don't smell vinegar, obviously, when you use it again. Now this part here, you're going to be careful rinsing out because you can't actually submerge it in water because all the electric parts are in it, but you can tip it into the sink, you can wipe it out. Then when that is all done and you have finished soaking these, rinsing the whole thing, you're good to go. You can put it back together and begin using it again. So this will just go back in. Just going to snap right in. You can see. You've got the sound dampening part, and that is just going to go right back in the base. And did I do that right? Nope, I have it backwards. Okay. It's going to go right back in the base. What am I doing? Oh, I have it up. Okay. Give me a second here. Okay. Now that the float's back in, you're going to put the sound dampening piece back into the base. And it just pops right in there. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to put the filter back on the inside. And you're going to do, this time you're going to go clockwise. Okay, that is all back together. You can take this back to where you're operating it, get it plugged back in. Put your tank back on top of it, lining up that line with the arrow. And then you can refill it and you're good to go. But I love that this has minimal parts. Also for cleaning, it makes a big difference. And the fact that they all come off, you're not trying to like scrub around things in here. It's open, it's easy to clean. It's really straightforward. So I think that this is going to be the end of this video. I'm going to put in a little clip now, let you kind of see it sitting amongst my plants. You can see the mist coming out, and it's just a nice jungle feel, and I feel like I'm doing something good for them. So if you're interested in this humidifier, be sure to check out the description box. There will be a link for it. And I hope you enjoyed this video, picked up some easy tips, some cute tips to increase your humidity in your plant collection. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.